My name is Brittany, and today I will be talking about Korra from The Legend of Korra and her psychobiography. So Korra is from the Water Tribe, and she's the successor of Aang, which means that she's the next Avatar, master of all four elements and the peacekeeper and balance of the universe. She was born in the Water Tribe, and she knew early on exactly who she was and the duties of the Avatar, which is to keep peace by any means necessary. Supposedly, that's her thought process of it. Her main traits is that she is hot-headed and aggressive, but then throughout her journey, she evolves into a more level-headed and balanced person. The frameworks include Maslow's holistic dynamic theory, which states that humans have consistent motivations of needs and also grow towards self-actualization, which is their main motivation. Rogers' client-centered theory is based on the respect for a person's capacity to grow within a nurturing climate, which means unconditional positive regard and unconditional acceptance towards the client in order to let them be their best versions of themselves. Skinner's behavioral analysis theory states that human conduct is shaped primarily by personal history of reinforcement, natural selection, and cultural practices. Bandura's social cognitive theory states that personality is molded by interaction of behavior, personal factors, and the environment. Now, the most compelling aspects of Korra's psychobiography is definitely Rogers' two selves idea, where the real self and the ideal self can have a large gap between them called incongruence, and incongruence causes psychological uncertainty, distress, and confusion. And for Korra, we see this idea with who she is and what she believes to be. So her real true self and the self that she thinks she is, like the Avatar, the ideal where the Avatar keeps the balance, solves everything perfectly, and knows what to do, and does it perfectly every single time. Korra believes she's an all-powerful being as the Avatar, master of all four elements, trying to figure out, or while dismissing the most important part of her existence as a young adult, which is trying to figure out her place in the world. And throughout her many battles, Korra finds a balance between her ideal self and her real self, understanding that her power is not only from her ability to bend, but also as a person who has compassion, empathy, and patience. Bandura's theory of learning through modeling states that observing others' actions, through observing others' actions, you can learn behavior and its consequences, which is another part of Korra's psychobiography that is really interesting, because her character grows in a controlled environment since there was an attempted kidnapping when she was young, so her parents thought it was better to seclude her, and through this controlled environment they could keep her safe. And she was raised basically just mastering the elements as she is the Avatar. So with the lack of models, Korra failed to understand how to be part of a larger society, causing her to act impulsive and overconfident when she was actually out in the real world, which led to even bigger consequences later when she faces off new enemies. But with her new mentor, Tenzin, she was able to shift from an aggressive mindset and a really controlling mindset to one of empathy and harmony. For the critical evaluation, I see that the Rogers theory of self versus real self is really the most important part of Korra's journey, because it was one of growth and development based on an imbalance of her perception of herself and her perception of herself as the Avatar. Throughout the series, Korra faced many challenges that led her to question her confidence, her character, and her purpose, but with the encouragement and unconditional love and acceptance of those around her, Korra was able to foster a balance between her two selves, turning into a powerful force of both compassion and maturity. Comparing two theories, in Korra's case, I saw some similarities in Skinner's operant conditioning and also Bandura's modeling that had similar outcomes for Korra. While both different methods, I found that in Korra, they both weakened the behavior of aggression and impulsivity. And because of her impulsive behaviors, Korra learned with operant conditioning that this only led to heavy consequences, which can be shown in Zahir's attack. And Tenzin's modeling allowed Korra to be taught in a new way of thinking, not with aggression, but with connection. Both of these allowed her to change her mindset and her behaviors, the first behavior she chose So instead of acting with aggression and impulsivity, she is now more level-headed. In conclusion, Korra went through several traumatic events that developed her into a compassionate and patient person. Korra learned from her previous actions that no longer aligned with her goal for peacekeeping and harmony to the world, and instead adopted a more balanced and empathetic approach to problems. I believe that, again, Rogers best explains Korra's character development as she moves towards fulfilling her full potential as the new Avatar and as the new successor of the Avatar, as she struggled with incongruence.